Hello everybody, welcome back to the greatest career modes on YouTube. We are indeed back with the Wigan Athletic career modes. And what a start the season we had. I was very impressed with how that episode has went. It's been quite a long time, had quite a big break in between that episode. But we are fully back into the swing of things of getting these episodes just pumped out to you guys here on the channel. Now, I do want to say, the advice and everything that was given after that first episode went up in season 6 has been a lot to take in. There is so much to go through right now, and a few little things that some people have said, sort of going more towards like the objectives and trying to make things even tougher for us, as if we haven't already had a few tough seasons in the Premier League already. But yeah, there's a lot to go through, so let's go ahead and get through it. Okay, so I've been listed a few things that a lot of them I can't fully sort of 100% do. For instance, transfer spending. We've been set in the comments to only spend 30 million on transfers, and in the first episode I'd already spent 83 million on transfers, and I only brought in 59, so we have actually lost quite a bit of money there doing that. So I cannot follow that. By January, your first team squad can only be a maximum of 25 players. That should be doable. I'm going to have to go through and count everybody, but I think a lot of the youth players make up for it. So I might have to release them. I've got a lot of them still on the transfer list and they're just not being sold. So I may need to release some players to get that done. A minimum of 2 academy players in each matchday squad, either real players or regen players. The majority of it will be regen players, I would imagine, like Hobbs in there. He'll most likely have to be. I think we're goalkeeper as well. Does he classes coming up through the academy? He didn't. I bought him, but he's still technically a regen player. I feel like that should count. One of Ndiaye, Barnes or Devine must have a release clause inserted. I'm going to have to go through that. I believe Ndiaye could potentially have a release clause already. But if not, we will change one of their contracts and try and sort of, get them moved on in a way. We have been set to reach 60 points in the Premier League this season, which I believe might be the highest points tally that I would have ever had in the Prem, which I expect. It's been a few seasons since we've come up here after back-to-back promotions. So I think that is definitely something we can try and do. I mean, 60 points is still rough. That's definitely European football. Could be like borderline top 4, maybe. Battle for a playoff spot in the Europa League phase if we're qualified. And concede 25 goals or less in home games. It could specifically be pretty difficult for us to do that. We'll have to see how this sort of new defensive structure plays out. Hopefully Reece James helps us massively, and hopefully the new goalkeeper helps us there. This was also asked upon in the comment section. Now, Alex Palmer, whilst he's still valued at a decent price, we may as well try and move him on in the club now. So I've signed a brand new goalkeeper, Julian Krall, from Kjærstoleren. I probably have butchered their name, most likely. But we've brought him in. I feel like it's an alright price for the goalkeeper you get. Yeah, he is a 75 overall, and I would imagine he could give Ferry a run for his money in net. I know there's an 8-year difference there, but we've signed him to a 4-year contract on 28k a week. He's going to be the backup keeper straight away, and he costs us 4.9 million, which for our remaining transfer budget is not a terrible price. I'll tell you what an absolutely amazing player he was. But yes, Alex Palmer has left to Club Brugge here for 1.6 million. Obviously, it's a lot less than what I've just brought in that new German goalkeeper for, but with him being 33, I feel like that's probably the highest his value will ever be in this team. He still had 2 years left on his contract, but most likely wasn't going to be playing in the team pretty much ever again, unless we've got an injury to Ferry, of course. We've got a new solid backup in anyway, so Palmer, it is quite sad. He saved us in that dramatic penalty shootout that we had in a cup final, which was just crazy. But yeah, he was a good servant for the time that he was here. It was very short but sweet. Just went through the team there as well. We have 42 players in this team. I don't think it's going to be possible to drop it down to 25, at least this season. That is including the players who are here on loan and are out on loan. If you don't class them, it will be a lot less, because obviously there is so many loan deals going on, whether they're here, whether they're out of here. There's so many loan deals. The majority of my team, though, is just defenders. I mean, 4 goalkeepers. 5. Yeah, 5 goalkeepers, sorry. But then the majority of them are just defenders. They fill up so much space. I mean, I don't need this many right backs. We are trying to sell Alex Scott here. Clark's going to have to stay just in case, you know, what Reece James is like. But yeah, 42, did I say? Did I count 42? 42 players. That's including the people who are out on loan, who a lot of them probably aren't going to last in this team anyway, so they are probably going to be sold. And it's including players like Lowe and Van Dijk, who are currently here on loan as well, so... Well, in the past, we have had some amazing games up against West Ham, and we're playing them again here. I've put out pretty much the exact starting lineup, no changes, and look at this from Van Dijk. May I say, we brought this guy in on loan from Brentford to hopefully do us a job on that right-hand side that Kumas just wasn't quite doing last season. And he's done that job very well to start things off here. Pretty early on at the London Stadium, Ramazani as well on the score sheet for the very first time. I'm very surprised he didn't slot it away the first time here with that attempt there. I don't know if it's lucky goalkeeping or just pretty poor shooting there from Ramazani. I'm not 100% sure. Conte at West Ham, I'm not gonna ask any questions there, but Lowe, absolutely incredible off the bench. He come on pretty late on for Ndiaye, and he's done his job perfectly, right in front of that away end, full of Wigan supporters, of course. Absolutely amazing. I love the little fake shot as well, trying sort of get the keeper a bit unbalanced, but how is Kante still going? This is 6 years in the future, and why is he at West Ham? I've asked the questions. But he must be, I don't even know if it is the real Kante. He hasn't got the same haircut. He might have changed it, I'm not sure. I know he's bald in real life, but he could have grown it. Later on, though, instead of keeping the clean sheet, the defence has just kind of fallen to pieces there. Pretty unlucky from the goalkeeper not to even get a touch onto it. But the time was up anyway for them. What a signing that is for West Ham, by the way. They've also got Camavinga in there. I didn't even realise he was playing the whole game, but he was. Ramazani and Lowe with the goals. Van Dijk in there with an assist. Absolutely incredible off that right hand side. The only thing is with my wingers is stamina. I feel like I'm going to have loads of depth. The reason I wanted to show you the start lineup for this first Carabao Cup game of the season is just to show you the kind of rotation I'm going to be doing in the Cup games. We've got Krul coming in for his debut here, and literally every single player bar Edwards, I think, and maybe Armstrong in there, has been changed in that starting 11. We're just going fully changed for Carabao Cup games, so unless it's a really important game, then we may sort of keep thereabouts the same team. Now, of course, Lowe off to an absolute electric start. This guy, he's not the fastest, but he gets there. It's like his acceleration that's a bit of a letdown. But once he gets up to speed, wow. And then look at the footwork. Fucking hell. He's got the footwork. He's got the footwork of Chris Wood. It makes me reminisce of Chris Wood. I don't know why, but I can sense it in him. And this guy's only 23 years old as well. Look at this by Armstrong as well, by the way, the passing. And look at that. The little touch that sort of steps away from the defenders there. Incredible stuff. But Cardiff were not going down without a fight. And in Krul's debut, I mean, it's not great goalkeeping. I know the defence is falling to pieces there, but my keeper comes out way too fucking early there, and he creates a massive open goal pretty much for the forward there for Cardiff. Way too easy. I'm not quite sure what Edwards is doing stepping up there either. I don't know where Hughes is. I haven't got a clue. I really do miss having Costas in there. It was my choice on resting him. Ali, though, absolutely amazing. This guy, look at the size of him, by the way. This guy's a DM. He's the future of this midfield, I can tell you right now. The guy is strong, he's athletic, he's just built like a brick shit house. He's quite fast. Also, his playmaking's insane. His passing is absolutely ridiculous, and now apparently his shooting's even just as good. But that is a big win to send us through to the next round in the Carabao Cup. Who are we going to be facing? That'll be an interesting one. And we ain't looking too bad here as well. Woodhouse played very well in this game, I'll tell you. Gelhardt was pretty sound on the ball. back as well at left back. It's nice to have a good backup to Adaramola. So yeah, team overall, very exceptional performance. After the first few games this season, Nathan Lowe has went down with a broken toe injury. This injury has come into this career mode so many times now. I think we need to start switching the boots or something. Boots are getting too modernised. We need to go back in the day to the good old like Umbro or something, you know. We need good olden day boots back because we're getting too many broken toes basically. Nathan Lowe, who's only out from loan from Nottingham Forest, is out for 3 months. 3 months without him, and he's scored 2 and 2 as well. It's going to be a big miss. It's going to be a big miss. I brought him in to sort of compete with Joseph and Ndiaye, but it's just going to be Ndiaye and Joseph, which have had the past few seasons, of course. That's a tough one to take, and it's really not that good for Lowe's career. I do have the buy option, and I would have loved to have brought him in permanently. We still can do it. It's only 3 months, but if we find out this guy's going to be injury prone, I don't really see the need in keeping him here. Doing a little bit of business. Obviously, I'm going along with that release clause rule in the career mode that we got set by Hugh himself. So thank you, Hugh. We could potentially lose Ndiaye, who is one of our better players in the team. But yeah, I've added a 40 million release clause to him. I also extended his contract this season, though. He had 2 years, 10 months left. He's now got 3 years, 10 months. So if it doesn't get bought, we've got Ndiaye for even longer than what we should. It made sense. He is 29. Which I would say is sort of in the middle of your prime, especially for like a forward, I would say. So it's not a terrible idea. The most I could have put was 40. I tried 50. They would only accept the 40 million release clause. He is valued at 21 million, so either way, you're making a bit of money there. And we also signed Ndiaye for less than 40. So either way, it should be pretty sound. The only issue is if that does get paid, even say before the deadline, we could be fucked, really. We could be fucked. Lowe obviously out for 3 months, and the only other player we could really play there is Joseph. We could try out someone like Silko Thomas up there, maybe. He's still here in this team, of course. But I did just want to show you as well the highest earners in the team. And Dyer went from 80,000 a week to 90,000, so his wage went up as well as his contract and everything else. Reece James, I did not realise I've gave this guy 115,000 a week. He's robbing a living. He's robbing a living for being 29 years old. He really is. I also switched the numbers around. I forgot to show you that before the first few games of the season. But yeah, some numbers have been swapped around. Yet again, big shout out to Hugh for giving us what numbers the player should be. Reece James taking his old number, apparently what he had at Wigan of number 12. But yeah, and then you're just going down the list. I'm like, some of these players are on too much. I mean, even Ramazani is on 57k. I believe he was on 65 at Leeds, though. He was on 65k a week at Leeds. So I did bring it down quite a bit, to be fair. Even Van Dijk, even though it's been split in our favour, so Brentford are paying more weekly for his wages, but still 54k a week for someone who's 22. Bit mad. Even Low, 52k a week. Kumas is on 50. And Samuel Ali, 50k a week. I mean, me goalkeeper's on 45. These numbers just seem insane, and I think that's mostly because I'm obviously quite used to seeing, or when we very first started the career mode, a lot lower. I think the average wage in the League One season was like 10k. I think the most was like 15k maybe. So obviously we're so used to seeing lower numbers. You expect these changes, but I mean, players like Reece James and Dyer, I feel like they're robbing a living from us, especially for the sort of situation that we're in. We're not sort of there just yet to be fighting in these European spots. Obviously, hopefully we get there this season, but we also do have our next Carabao Cup tie, which is up against Ipswich next month. That's a pretty good tie. We'll take them on there. We then have our Europa League fixtures. We have qualified for the Europa League, which is brilliant stuff. We've got Sparta Praga in there. We have Ferencváros. I've seen them before. I keep forgetting how to say their name. Inter Milan. That's going to be a really challenging game for her. We've got Brondby. We've got FC Porto in there. Hoffenheim. Then Augsburg and Malmo. Malmo are a very historic European side, so that'll be a very nice game to play. But yeah, the rest of the fixtures don't look too bad after the deadline in September here. You got Everton on the first a 2-week break until the Palace game. I played Ipswich twice in a row there, which is a bit annoying. Then your first game in Europe there, Sparta Prague, and then Chelsea. Chelsea at home though, so I feel like we usually do decent against Chelsea when things are going in our favour. But when I simulate the fucking game, we'll lose like 5-1, so I best not simulate that one. Alrighty then, with obviously Lowe being out for quite an extended period of time, most likely until after Christmas going into the new year, I've just brought in Alex Navarro from PSG on a loan spell. No option to buy at the end of it, but he's 18, he's 70 overall, and his stats don't look too bad for his age, and he's come up through the PSG academy, so we can expect quite a lot from him. He just kind of fits in as a third choice striker just in case. We know what can happen, and Dyer can go down with an injury, then you're just left with Joseph. The same thing could happen with Joseph. This team is injury riddled, so I feel like this was a pretty smart decision on transfer deadline day. Pretty poor few games after the deadline day. We lost 2-1 to Everton there, and then drew 1-1 at Palace. Pretty lucky in the Palace game with Dyer getting a last minute finish, but either way, we're on to an ex-cup game, which is up against Ipswich. It's away, it's in the cup. We'll have a good old cup game. Let's see what we can do against them, and it's a double against Ipswich. Got them in the cup and in the league. This is who we have next in the Carabao Cup. It's Kajuste's old team, Ipswich, who we bought them from. And holy shit, there's a contender for goal of the season in the second episode this season. Kajuste smashes it into the back of the net. Of course he's got to celebrate against his former team. Absolutely exceptional. 24 metres out, thumps it. What's that, 112 kilometres an hour? What are you on about? That's crazy. But yeah, the high press just works so well in this team. I do eventually switch the formation to a 4-3-3 defend, but we're playing 4-3-3 attack at the minute, and it just works so well. Not defensively, but look at the press. And may I just say, Van Dijk yet again, involved against West Ham, he's involved against Ipswich again here. Absolutely amazing. This football here, lovely little 1-2 sort of, it's like tiki-taka football. It's incredible stuff. It's nice to see Reece James so high up the pitch as well in these situations. But what a lead we're going to take going into half-time. Unfortunately, though, we're going to come down with a few injuries today. As always, we're riddled with injuries last season and the season before and the season before that, and now it looks like it's going to be the same this season. Kajuste, after scoring that screamer, is going to have to come off the pitch here. Very unfortunate. We're going to find out after the game how long he's out for. And Costas as well from a corner. Oh dear, is going to go down as well. It looks like the same injury for both, just by the looks of the way they've went down here. But the ref had to stop the game. We've had to take both of them off, and that is just so unfortunate. We're going to win 2-0 either way. Very good performances. Navarro had his debut and got an assist in there. Could you stay man the match? Of course, the two injuries are the bigger things to look at though. This is the extent of the injuries then to Kajuste and Costas. They both dislocated their shoulders. What's the chances in that, really? Come on. What is the chances in two players dislocating their shoulders in the same game? Crazy, I know, but they're both out for 2 months. I think Kajuste, obviously, with them being sort of like one of the key players in the team, it's going to be a big miss, but at the same time, Ali's come in here and just blown us away with how good he is on the ball and everything, and with him being a DM, I feel like he can fit into that role better, whereas Costas being out, I feel like that's a bit of a heavier hit for us, especially being in that back line. And I'm so used to having him with Edwards, obviously, in the league. So that's going to be very difficult to find our way around. Obviously, Hughes is going to start for now. I'd imagine Civic is just going to stay on the bench for us. And I might need to bring up one of the youth centre-backs onto the bench, so we can have two centre-backs there. I've had to do a bit of fiddling around due to obviously all of the injuries that have happened within the team so far. We've got Lowe, Kajuste and Costas out pretty long term for us. So we've moved to a 4-3-3 defensive, which does bring Divine a little further down, but I'm still sticking him on with Shadow Striker. I believe it should be Shadow Striker, or Playmaker Attack, sorry. Ali has come into the team to replace Kajuste. This guy's been incredible during the game so far. I do believe he could probably start with Kajuste instead of Armstrong, to be honest with you. But I feel like we need Armstrong for the more sort of attacking threat within the midfield as well. And then Hughes comes in into the centre-back partnership with Edwards now. Obviously, a massive shame for Costas being out. He was just starting to kind of find his route and his way into this team. And now he's such a high rating, he's 79, yeah, he's a 79 going on to an 80 overall. Going to be one of the high rated players in the team very soon. And yeah, such a shame that development's kind of just been put on a pause. It does mean that Fry, though, comes up to the bench now, as well as Hobbs. So you've got a lot of young players in this lineup now. It was young anyway, wasn't it? I think the oldest player here might be Reece James. Reece James and Ndiaye, I think, are the joint oldest players in this team, which is kind of crazy to say. Obviously, bench unit-wise, you do have Sibic in there. Sibic being, I'm pretty sure, like, the oldest player in the entire roster, squad, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, a pretty straightforward episode. We're doing well in the Cup. We've usually done pretty well in Cups anyway with Wigan over the past few seasons. But this season, we're definitely going to go for another bit of silverware if we can. We've got the Europa League to come up in the next episode. We're going to be playing my first ever game in that. So that's going to be very exciting to see. And if you guys want to see more of this career mode, and I promise that I'm going to be a bit more consistent with the episodes, I do promise you, please smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're new around TL, if you've been watching for a while and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? And yeah, turn on your notifications, because these episodes can just come at any random time. But yeah, I love yous and leave yous. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.